What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout, and I'm here with some bullshit. So we're gonna have a discussion on Kidku and why Bandai needs to kill this thing. Just nuke it from orbit on the next ban list if we are to have any sort of a diverse and or fair environment going into the finals. Yeah, like after the last couple of regionals, I just can't. I can't anymore. So anyway, before we begin, huge shout out to the Coffee Club, our lovely patrons. These are our $2 and up patrons that buy us coffee. They keep this crazy content grind going. And guys, thanks a lot for your support. If you wish to join the Coffee Club, link to a patron is in the description below. And I think that's about everything. Roll the video. As with all of our videos, let's start with a breakdown. So we're having a Kidku problem, that much is obvious. What's the issue with Kidku? Why is it an issue? And how can Bandai fix it? Because if Bandai doesn't fix it, and it's the point of this entire video, then we're just gonna have a very unpleasant experience with a couple of decks that are just flat out unplayable. And of course, we will just wrap it up with a summary. Let's go. Let's open up with a problem statement. So, Kidku is becoming an ever-increasing problem. Kidku is just flat out becoming an ever-increasing problem. We need to look at it like this, right? First off, metagame-wise, the performance of the deck is amazing, but it's not fully out of hand. It's not as garbage as Fusion World is. It's not like Top Tier 0 or stuff like that, or just like decks are unplayable because of blah blah. No. It's more of a, yes, the performance is really astounding, but there are other decks which are also performing very well and are capable of fighting Kidku on almost equal ground. However, this still causes a lot of issue in deck diversity, and in basically having one deck that heavily gatekeeps everything else out of the metagame. The entire concept, for example, and I want you to pay close attention to this, the entire concept of Z Unisons is borderline unplayable because of this one leader. BT26 has awesome archetypes. I don't believe that a single one of them, outside of, for example, Gogeta, who just flat out doesn't rely on a Z Unison at all. Gogeta in Super 17 and the Goku Gohan one, they don't rely on a Z Unison at all. Those are gonna be fine. Everything that relies on a Z Unison is just flat out screwed, because Kidku just negs Z Unisons and deletes them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at what the pie chart of the best performing decks looks like. Here is the performance chart for BT25 metagame, the best leaders, the 4 best performing decks in the entire meta, with all of their numbers of tops, including the latest trade and trade event. I am missing info from Latam and Oceania, but from last weekend, but it's pretty safe to assume that Kidku won there as well. 44 Kidkus, and then the next closest deck to in the performance numbers is SS4 Vegito with 17. Kidku has top 2.5 times more than the second best deck, which is Vegito. 2.5 times more like a 1 point, but I know it's math, doesn't matter. So the difference between the two is just astronomical. It's astronomical. It's 27 top. No. Yeah, 27 tops. That's insane. That's really insane. And then when you look at the other two, which are Nuova and Nemeku, it gets even crazier. Like, Kidku topped 4 times more in total. He topped 4 times the amount of times that Nemeku topped. And Nuova is just like at 12 wins. Nuova is one of the best decks in the game at the moment. Still like nothing. And you have plenty of other decks, and none of them are above 10. But none of them are even close to 10. I think the next highest number is like 8 tops. So yeah, but however, if you look at performance in terms of winning, Kidku also won 6 out of 11 recorded events so far. Kidku won more than 50% of events, and according to, topping numbers, just proceeded to top the majority of them as well. So we are missing some lists. I'm missing Latam and Oceania from the last weekend. But here's the thing. If you look at it and you're like, well, it's not like Sin and Gogeta. If you are coming in from Fusion World, you're like, well, it's not top cool. Like, thank God it's not. Like, we're not dealing with that yet. But we shouldn't even have a discussion about getting to that point. However, this is only one part of a much bigger issue. What's a Z Unison? What is a Z Unison oriented strategy? Well, it's nothing. Kinda. It's insignificant completely. Good luck playing Z Unison based decks when Kidku gives them -15 for free and then just proceeds to delete them. So, yeah. Not just Z Unisons normally. This is the issue that I have with it. And that's more of a game design problem than anything. And I'm a bit surprised that this part didn't go unnoticed. Z Unisons are supposed to be the center of the last of the Zenkai blocks. So we're currently in the very last Zenkai block. There's one more set and then there's a new block. So the last part of Zenkai is centered around the Z Unisons. And if you look at BT26, for example, a lot of decks, even in BT25, ask you to have a Z Unison out, to awaken, to do their own thing, blah blah blah. However, Kidku came out in BT25 and he just deletes all of these Z Unisons. When a Unison's power hits 0, it loses a marker. Kidku for free, multiple times a turn, on each player's turn, gives them -15. It just deletes them. And then you need to establish them all over again. You're wasting energy, you're wasting Z energy, and you're being pushed an entire turn almost back. So that's the problem here. Every Z Unison-centric deck is borderline unplayable in a competitive setting because they can't survive Kidku's auto. From design perspective, I'm shocked that, what's the point of having Z Unisons be this big thing if you create a deck which just ruffle stomps all of them? It just deletes all of them. So yeah, this is the second part of the core issue. There are more problems with Kidku. Let's talk about water. Let's talk about the super water of the gods, the bullshit water. So this card is also incredibly overtuned. It was obvious that this card was gonna be incredibly overtuned. However, once you take everything into consideration, the problem is even bigger. So you go down, basically, if for some reason you don't know what this does. Basically, when you're on 6 lives, you put 2 lives under it, you go down to 4, and then at any point in the game as activate battle, you can gain those 2 lives back. That's an issue. Here is why. Because Red's best tools, defensive tools, such as Explosive Dance and Super Combos, are locked behind you having to have 4 lives. From turn 2, effectively on 6 lives, you can use Explosive Dance and Super Combos. You can use your best defensive tools on turn 2 while you're sitting at technically 6 lives. And if you ever get into an emergency where you need to fire it off, you just fire it off as activate battle and you gain 2 lives back. That's an effect that's unstoppable. So yeah, Kidku gets to a point where a lot of decks try to get much faster and with almost no punishment at all. Because these tools being locked at 4 lives, it's a way for you to fight back when you're going down on lives. You're risking going down to low lives so that you can have access to stronger tools. But the water replenishes 2 lives. So you're not risking anything. You're effectively sitting on 6. And the last part, yes, there is part 4 of the issue, is the counterplay. It's the Chaosu. Oh man, So, here's the thing. You play Chaosu for free. Okay. And he says, if your life is at 4 or less, oh look, imagine you get there with the water. When this card is played, play up to one skillless battle card from your drop, which is a 30k who doesn't do anything. Now that doesn't sound so bad, until you take into consideration that your leader says when you play a skillless card, you base the pretty k skillless card, you neg your opponent's either Unison or a battle card, but minus 15. And quite often you remove something with this. So your opponent plays something, you respond with Chaosu completely for free, you play a skillless card, you delete it. Or you just flat out kill their Unison. Imagine they establish a Z Unison and you slap Chaosu. Like, okay, now it's gone. Pay for it again. So there is also a problem with some decks, particularly Green Trunks. Green Trunks is amazing, but he's unplayable in the current metagame. Some decks, like him, just can't recover from such a turn to play. For example, Trunks needs the Z extra and he needs the Vegeta. Z extra comes under Vegeta when you play it, and then you get it out through Z stack. You play the Vegeta, Kidku responds with Chaosu, deletes it. Now let's finally talk about some solutions. It's time to come up with a solution. Bandai, if you're listening, look, first off, don't listen to the American who told you to not ban Vegito Unison and then proceeded to play Kidku. But you know who you are. Proceeded to play Kidku at those regional events and stuff like that. You don't listen to people like that who tell you that a deck isn't a problem and then just play it. No, just please listen. Like, look at stats. And now here comes a solution. We've identified several key issues, right? Unison-based strategies are unplayable. They're completely unplayable. The Secret Water is too strong. The Secret Water is stupid. Stupid card. The ability to remove cards for free is just too much with Chaosu. It's way too much. Especially when you when you play decks like Trunks, for example, where the card just gets eaten alive instantly and you just wasted your turn too. And Kidku has performed astronomically better than any other meta deck. Based on those issues above, we came to a few possible solutions. I'm gonna show you a couple of possible solutions, and then I'm gonna tell you what's the best way to deal with this. Solution number 1, and the one that you should not take, is banning Kidku. That's a nuclear option. You should never ever strive to ban leaders. No. So the explanation is that it's the safest way to ensure that the deck is gone, because it's just flat out banned, right? And with Pan, Super 17, Future Gohan and Cooler, Red has enough strong decks to carry the color. However, there's a downside to it. Banning leaders should always be the last possible option. Always the last one. It's better to ban a couple of cards or limit or errata into unplayability or anything from the archetype rather than just ban a leader. This is still someone's favorite deck. Still, people have still maxed it out when it comes to rarity and stuff like that. I can't imagine this being your favorite deck, but sure, let's imagine that there are people who really enjoy playing this deck. It's a major feels bad for them. It's an extreme feels bad for everyone who invested into this archetype or who just loves playing it for whatever reason, because now it's completely unplayable. Everything, but like one half of the entire color is unplayable from BT25. So no, I'm just putting this out there. Do not ban Kidku. That's an awful idea. Don't ban the leader. Solution number 2, and one of the better ones. Kidku can't hit Unisons anymore. He just flat out can't hit Unisons with his auto. Here's the explanation why this would be a good solution. This small change makes all the Unison-centric decks much more playable, which is what you want to do being in the Unison block. You want these decks to be playable. So some of these decks are amazing. They're super fun. But this one stupid thing just makes them so much... They're not completely unplayable, but they're astronomically harder to play because of this. And so it also encourages deck diversity and playing new BT26 archetypes. So the downside, though, is it isn't enough to stop the deck from overperforming. Just removing the ability to hit Unisons isn't enough. This will only impact a minority of decks, while the other issues will remain. The last suggestion, before I show you what's the best course of action, is banning the Z extra card. Just flat out ban this stupid card. You don't need it in the archetype to awaken anyway, so nothing in the archetype is tied to it, so just get rid of it. Explanation is that this change will put Kidku on a fair ground with other red decks in terms of utilizing powerful tools as super combos and explosive dance. So Kidku now needs to fight on equal grounds, at least turn-wise and lives-wise, as other decks. However, there is still the same downside of while this will make the deck less defensive, it won't do much regarding its ability to delete Unisons and other cards. So it can work, but it needs to be in addition to solution number 2. Speaking of which, here is what should be done about Kidku. Here is our solution. So here is our proposed solution for Bandai. You need to hit Kidku on free fronts. That's the only way to fix this stupid thing, without banning it. First off, Kidku can't hit Unisons anymore. Flat out, he can't hit Unisons at all. Otherwise, Z Unison, BT26 and 5 centric decks and BT27 are completely unplayable or borderline unplayable because there's a leader that will just eat them alive. So, step 1, can't hit Unisons. Step 2, ban the water. Ban the water entirely. You just can't, you go to 6 lives technically, and you use tools which reward you for being on low lives. That's unfair, completely. Plus you have the CX route, you have explosive dance naturally online, that's stupid. And finally, limit Chaosu to 1. Chaosu is also a major issue with his ability to free play 30k's back and then either hit Unisons or hit battle cards and just nag something and make several decks unplayable, blah blah. Chaosu doesn't need banning. He needs to be limited to 1. He's not so strong that he needs banning. So I firmly believe that if you take a deep look into these issues, that there is no single solution. There's not a single solution, because the problem is multiple-fold. The only single solution is banning Kidku, which should not be a course of action. I'm always going to fight for leaders not being banned, because this is just a major feels bad. Every deck is someone's favorite deck for whatever reason. So, yeah, definitely. Kidku can't hit Unisons, ban the water, limit Chaosu to 1. It's also worth considering making the second auto limit to 1 or once per turn. If you do that, perhaps you don't need to remove his ability to hit Unisons, but as long as it's limit to 1 or once per turn, just so that it can't keep stacking constantly. I just played 2 things for free and I did a Chaosu bunny girl and I deleted your big boss monster. So that things like that can't happen anymore. That would be manageable. However, I would prefer just flat out maybe a limit 1 on auto and it can hit Unisons and then Chaosu can stay. Something like that. The change will make the deck's removal options much less oppressive, which is cool. But other than that, yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add. This is the best course of action. Just hit this free, remove the problems from it. The deck will still be strong. It will still have a lot of free play 30k's. It will still be super aggro, but it will be fair. Before we end the video, let's quickly jump into the summary. Kidku really needs to get hit soon, and when I say soon, I mean this week when the ban list comes out. Outside of banning it, there's no way to weaken it adequately with just a single hit. There's no way to do it. I just showed you. If you hit anything, one of the other problems remains, and all of the problems are big enough to make the deck super oppressive. It needs more than one errata limit ban at this point. The experience playing against it has been pure misery for players. It's just been like pure misery. If it weren't for Kidku, everyone would probably praise 2024 even higher, because this is the best year for Masters. Masters has never been this good. So we don't want this thing around for the finals. It will limit the deck options. It will cause very shit game experience just trying to play against it. Please just take it away. Thanks for listening, and please hit it on the ban list. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below, how would you nerf this deck? How would you kill Kidku? Let me know in the comments. I'm looking forward to reading your opinions on this, because yeah, Kidku, like, please just die. Please die already. So this deck is horrible to play against. So anyways, let me know in the comments. I read all of your comments. I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And while you're here, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Help us get to 6k subs when I'm gonna give away a booster box. This has been Damien from the Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.